everyone, this is Callimara here, and no, it's not calamari. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new to the pond, go ahead and take a dive. You might like it here. Today, well, you would have seen the title and thumbnail of this video. Yes, Alex is still on his usual BS. Are we really that surprised? If you've been following him long enough, you know it's all a part of his playbook. Get exposed for his dangerous and degenerate behavior, or be caught lying about the allocation of funds and time for his game. Put out a statement that doesn't really address anything and instead create strawmans to vindicate himself but still promise changes and improvement, but don't actually change and improve, instead laying low while still keeping in touch with his fans and volunteers to ensure their loyalty to him. And then quietly come back after the issue is buried and people are no longer paying attention. Rinse and repeat. If you aren't familiar with the latest crime Alex Mahan has been exposed for, go ahead and check out my first video on the situation, where I go in depth on the evidence of Alex being a groomer, as well as Ali McC's video where she plays all of the evidence in full. If you haven't seen it yet, I implore you to also watch this video by Fun is Infinite, where he catalogs and goes in depth on all of Alex's past controversies and how this has always been a pattern of behavior for him. I'd really like to talk about some of the evidence Fun is Infinite discussed in his video as well, particularly the situations surrounding Alex's first alleged grooming victim, Sis, who Alex claims to this day never existed and was nothing more than a troll/catfish, but that's a topic for another day. The topic of this video is to bring light to Alex's lies once again. The reason I'm continuing to highlight Alex and his actions is to make sure that he doesn't just slip away and be allowed to commit more crimes, because he will, and he has done so before. To paraphrase the words of Fun is Infinite in his video, Alex is getting older, but the age of the girls he's involved with stays the same. And there goes my ad revenue. Again. Sometimes I just wish I could go to a different reality and fully make over this whole life, you know? Well, at least I get to do that in Life Makeover, this video's sponsor. If you're looking for a game that's actually playable, Life Makeover is a limitless dress-up and social sim game with thousands of gorgeous outfits in so many different styles that you can mix and match, where you can create and fully customize your very own avatar, design your own one-of-a-kind clothing, build your dream house, and chill with your friends. You heard that right. This is the first dress-up game I've ever played where you can actually design your own clothes to wear. The game includes a drawing feature that lets you customize the already gorgeous outfits available in-game. Considering most of my channel is just restyling characters from various media, this game was literally made for me. Plus, Life Makeover has a story mode where you can solve mysteries with characters that are all literally drop-dead gorgeous, and you can romance them too. I'm personally obsessed with this game. I love dress-up games, and I'm really enjoying the gameplay so far, and it's all free to play. They've just updated a new version of the game called Iris Puzzle, and a new item called the Iris Scepter, which is only available from October 25th to November 14th. Click the link in my description to download Life Makeover today. So, in my last video, I discussed Alex's blog post titled Moving Forward, where he discussed his plans for the future and how he will be taking time off from game development and going offline to touch grass. Well, he's already lying about that. So, let's talk about it. Recently, I've noticed a few people commenting on my videos that Alex has made another blog post and is still very active online, replying and deleting YouTube comments, and apparently still doing Q&As with his fans where, and take this with a grain of salt because I don't have screenshots to confirm, he has stated that the reason for his behavior was because he has undiagnosed autism. Duck off all the way to hell, dude. I'm not going to dwell on this too long because I'm sure everyone in my community knows that being autistic does not make you more likely to groom children, you worm! But I'll admit, this was pretty low on my list of priorities when there are things like a literal war currently going on in the world, so it took me a good while to actually look into this. However, I'm looking into it now, so that's why we will be discussing Alex's newest WordPress blog titled Small Announcements. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, the first sentence is a blatant lie. Wow! He says here, as part of my effort to live a healthier life, I've been spending less time online and less time working on the game. Yeah, because making a new community server that is 18 plus, which he will talk about later in this WordPress, where reports from the r/Osana subreddit have stated that he is online on all the time, is definitely evidence of this. The only part of this first paragraph that is true is that he hasn't been on Discord much, because he's now on this new community server, which is on Guilded, a Discord dupe. We'll be looking into that a lot deeper in a second, but his section on the new adults-only community is really the part I want to discuss, because the two topics go hand in hand. So, to provide context for people who are just now getting into Alex's controversies, back in the day, Alex would swear up and down that his fans and the people in his community were mostly adults. The evidence he used for this were his YouTube audience demographics and a poll, several in fact, which he ran for his fans, where he asked them what age range they were. I got this from Fun is Infinite's video, so I highly recommend you guys check it out for the full context. But if you pay close attention, you might notice that the way Alex divided the polls is quite strange. Let's use my YouTube demographics as an example. Now, if we look at how YouTube usually divides age demographics, the age ranges start at 13 to 17 years old, because I assume any kids younger than 13 would be on YouTube Kids. The next bracket then starts at 18 to 24, which are, college age legal adults, then 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and so on. Meanwhile, Alex has slyly lumped the 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds, who would still be legally considered as minors, even if he himself does not consider them that way at his own admittance, with people who are 18, 19, and 20 years old. Legal adults. Now, even if we, as Fun is Infinite had in his video, assume that about half of the people in this group are over 18, they would still be in the minority in this demographic. And in later polls where he had even more respondents, the majority of his audience fell between the ages of 11 to 15 years old. Minors, over half of which were female. We also know that was his preferred age range for his volunteers, because even pushing the creepy grooming connotations aside, he wanted cheap labor from people who didn't know how to properly value their work yet. It's totally ethical, guys. But now, Alex has finally admitted that, yes, there were, in fact, a lot of minors in Yandere Simulator's fanbase, and the fact that he references huge YouTube superstars here, because the only reason Yansim got the popularity it did was not because it was good in any manner. It was just because of big YouTubers like PewDiePie and Markiplier playing the game, which happened very early in Yansim's development, heavily implies he had always known. He was just lying. So keep in mind that when he implemented mechanics like selling panty shots, selling people into trafficking rings, and suggesting that the main character flash their underwear to the players as an inventory system, he is fully aware that he is proposing those mechanics to kids. But he's just so concerned about what kids these days are being exposed to, right? Also, isn't it so rich that Alex is now saying he's always felt uneasy being around kids when he had no problems being in the DMs of one and flirting with them brazenly? What a fraud. So then, Alex goes on to list all the ways he had tried to reduce the number of young children in the Yansim community. And all this paragraph makes me think is that good old Alex has actually seen Fun is Infinite's video, because this basically tries to reframe all the points that Fun is Infinite brought up in his video as a defense. Fun is Infinite mentions in his video that if Alex's audience were truly adults, then why did he need to make an entire video asking his audience to stop bombarding him with emails because simple text instructions and guidelines didn't work? You know, something eager young fans would do to reach out to their favorite creator. Well, now Alex is claiming that the reason he put out that video was actually to discourage young fans from contacting him. You know, and not because Alex lacked impulse control and was obsessed with answering every single fan email he received, to the point his entire day was spent answering stupid emails, and how that's taking a toll on his mental health. You know, the actual stated purpose of that video. Sure, it's because he didn't want to interact with kids, and not because he couldn't help himself from interacting with kids. Sure. He says he also made a video clarifying that the game is not meant for kids. And it's been a while since I actually saw that video, so I decided to watch it again. And guess what? His main stated reason for disclosing that the game is not meant for kids was not to discourage kids from interacting with the game, because according to him, that's the algorithm's fault and he can't help that. It's because of COPPA. It's to cover his ass from COPPA. Heck, even at the end of that video, he still insists that his audience is primarily composed of adults, and proudly shows his analytics, which states that the 13 to 17-year-olds make up only 15% of his audience. And I do get the sense that that last bit was done tongue-in-cheek, because we all know that that's not true. Maybe that was his gotcha moment for the hypothetical COPPA agent that would hypothetically scan his page. You're free to go and watch it yourself, by the way. The video is still up on his channel. Even taking him up at his own word, he blatantly contradicts himself. I also find it funny that in that video, he literally lists all the reasons how his content would appeal to children, and then dances around the fact that his audience is mostly kids. He also claims that the reason he uses Japanese animation as an art style inspiration was because yanderes were popularized in Japan, and not because he heavily fetishizes Japanese stereotypes and that style, where characters often look very young even if they're not, is what gets him off. For God's sake, do I have to whip out the screenshot where Alex details his preference in girls every single time? Anyway, that's that point voided. Now let's get on to the third point, his Discord community guidelines. I admit, I've never been in that Discord server, because honestly I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I don't know much of what goes on in there, aside from people speedrunning to see how quickly they can get banned from there at one point. But I will say that Alex doesn't seem to mind his child audiences speaking up when it comes to agreeing with and defending his depraved ideas, though. Because as he clearly states in the next paragraph, he likes interacting with his audience when it's positive. It's his main source of motivation. And that's why he's still interacting with them even after telling everyone he needs to go away. Literally just go away. Dude took exactly 10 minutes off his computer before he realized he needs constant praise and validation to function. Also, this sentence is funny. However, after recent events, I've decided that I would prefer to spend my time socializing with adults only. I need to make more friends my own age. Oh, you decided that, did you? You just woke up one day and, for no reason at all, you decide, maybe I should stop talking to kids half my age as a 35-year-old man with way too much power and influence. Dang, I wonder how he came to that decision. It must have been an epiphany straight from the heavens. But not to worry, I'm sure you'll have no problem making friends your own age, Alex. There's tons of other YouTubers who share your values. I wish I still had energy to be angry, but at this point, that would be like berating a fish for swimming. He is what he is, so he'll do what he does, and the only thing I can do is make sure he doesn't trick people into believing he's anything but. So now we finally get to that new 18 plus community Alex started. First of all, I find it a bit odd that Alex decided to make this new community on Guilded as opposed to Discord. He's pretty wishy-washy for the reason why he did this, and in my opinion, I think it's to make it seem like his Discord account is inactive, which may trick some of his fans into thinking that he is on a break from the internet when he's really not. Guilded also allows you to make applications as a requirement for joining servers, which could potentially be a way for Alex to screen the people that come into his new server. And that was indeed the case at first, where you had to fill in an application to join, but that's since been replaced by a simple button click asking to confirm if you are 18 plus. I did a bit of digging to r/Osana to see if anyone has any more information on it, and I think I managed to find a good amount of insight on this new community. To start, let's read this post by user Jasuke Onfroy. Little update, as I was writing the script, the post was actually deleted due to privacy reasons, but luckily, I managed to grab a screenshot of it, so I'll just be showing their written section on their experience in the community. They've reposted it since, so if you're interested in seeing that, you can go to the subreddit yourself. Like anyone that's read Alex's post, they've also noted that Alex is not stepping away like he promised because he's still deleting and replying comments on his main YouTube channel and his second channel, Yandere Archive. According to the Redditor, this new adult server was actually made 10 days before he posted the join link in his WordPress, but was kept secret from anyone who wasn't a guaranteed supporter of Alex. Well, now we know what that form was for. I find this interesting though, because Alex's Moving Forward WordPress, where he said he was going to take a break, was posted on October 1st. That meant it was a whole 4 days before Alex went back on his BS. Because according to this Reddit post, he and his supporters have been on that server every day where no one can see them. Honestly, that checks out with his MO. The only thing I can remotely agree with in Alex's WordPress is that there is no actual way he can verify with 100% certainty that the people joining the server are older than 18, because it's not like you can demand people for their IDs, you can only really take their word for it. Which presents us the difficult question of, well, how do you stop kids from joining? And I'll answer that for you. You can't. And if you have a recorded history of poor conduct with minors, you just need to stay off the ducking internet like you said you would, you creep! And if you're going to comment, oh, but those kids know that's meant to be an 18 plus server, so they should know not to go in there in the first place, so if anything happens, it's on them. Let me raise you this. Oh, but Alex knows there's no real way for him to stop kids from joining his 18 plus community, so as a 35-year-old man with a history of inappropriate behavior and dangerous beliefs, he should know better than to let random people who could be lying about their age freely join. If what he really wanted was friends for mental support, then he should have made a private invite-only server where only the people he knows are 18 and above are invited to join. He never should have given out the link publicly. But, oh, no, that won't do. Because only a handful of people kissing his ass just isn't enough for the great Alex Mahan. He needs a large crowd to receive adoration from. Alex clearly has unresolved issues that aren't going to go away just because he's surrounding himself with adults. That doesn't mean he's changed, that just means he's looking for ways to continue to behave the way he does with less repercussions. Because guess what? This server is apparently much more lax when it comes to rules. So if a minor does end up in there, well, that'll be something, won't it? This is another ticking time bomb in the making, and I cannot fathom how nobody in that community, especially the grown adults, thought this would be a bad idea. Oh, right, because if they want to stay in Alex's circle, they're not allowed to criticize him whatsoever, lest they get kicked out. But that's exactly what this community is. Just a bunch of horny people feeding into Alex's constant need for praise and validation. Oh, and guess what? About half of the people in that community are probably kids that are allowed to remain, based on their spelling, grammar, and speech, which, mind you, is also Alex's only way of determining whether or not they are kids by his own words, despite Alex claiming that they would be kicked. Because there's no real way to stop that, but surely nothing can go wrong this time, right? Hey, but at least he's taking time off from developing his game. Wrong! Mans is looking for new volunteers to replace the ones that walked out. Reviewing volunteer applications counts as work, and that's without taking into account the first section in his official WordPress blog that was about volunteers wanting to contact him about their work progress. That still counts as work too. And according to this Redditor, he's stated outright in that new community that he's still continuing development. I don't know, maybe we just have very different definitions of stopping work on something. Oh, but Alex says, in a very brief addendum at the very end of his post, mind, that he has been leaving his house more and has recently started using an online therapy service. What, like BetterHelp? Look, I'm not gonna speak on the efficacy of online therapy services because I've never used it and I haven't read enough research on it, so I will leave that to those of you currently watching. If you have ever tried online therapy before, did it help you achieve your mental health goals, and how does it compare to in-person therapy? Also, do you think online therapy is enough for someone with as many issues as Alex? I'm not gonna criticize the guy for taking the first step, but the entire picture tells me that this is 1 step forward, 10 steps back. Because I feel like this is going to quickly turn into Alex using the fact that he's doing some sort of therapy as a shield against people criticizing him now. Kind of like, you know, Big Ed, where he's constantly bringing up the fact that he's in therapy as a shield for the shitty things he does. Also, I just really have a hard time believing that he's been leaving the house more when he's online in that community server 24/7. I guess that is a loophole. He never said he was going to stop being online, just that he's going to go outside more. Even if he's still chatting on his phone or his laptop at a coffee shop or something. So let's just end this video with a glorious screenshot from Reddit user ShortConstruction78 titled Turd Room, written by Alex in his new community server. And even if I hadn't told you that, you'd probably be able to figure out on your own that it was written by Alex, because he, as I've mentioned in my previous video, will create parables that wind around and wear the reader down into agreeing with him instead of addressing the issue directly. I assume the context is that someone probably told Alex that maybe he should stop going out of his way to look for negative content, and he threw a little tantrum. But I also like the idea that Alex randomly launched into this monologue about turds unprompted, which honestly is also equally probable. So, enjoy. Sometimes, on a social media platform, there will be a massive amount of negativity, gossip, drama, etc. Someone will point out, the algorithm only shows you that content because you clicked it. You're seeing that because you consistently kept clicking it. If you simply ignored that stuff, the algorithm wouldn't be showing it to you. Well, hold your horses there. Let's imagine a room full of turds. Turds everywhere. But there's a corner with no turds in it. So you stand in the turdless corner. Then I walk into the room and say, Jesus Christ, look at all the turds. And you say, it's your fault. You're the one looking at the turds. as you stand in the one corner with no turds in it. Just because you have managed to trick the algorithm into not showing you negativity, that doesn't mean that social media isn't full of negativity. It's still there. Just because you have a blindfold on and you're not looking at it, doesn't mean it's not there. How do you like my Alex impression? It's been a while since I used it. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me in the pond for a while. I hope your skin didn't get too pruny. If you made it all the way to the end, make sure that you keep holding Alex accountable and not letting him just get away with the things he's been doing for years, because we seriously need a change, and his fans need to know that he's not somebody they should be looking up to or wanting to admire. Big shout out to my lovely pond dwellers on Patreon. If you want to become a pond dweller and get early access to my content, join my Patreon. If you want to see more from me, then please follow me on all my social media. If you want to submit fan art or chat with me, join my Discord server. And if you want more of my stories, check out my Wild Word series here on YouTube, because that will make me really happy. All the links are in my description, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!